वहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे। गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्रति तस्मिन् काये। बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः। वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः। काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः। कस्य त्वं कः कुतायातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः। सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम्। निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः। वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः। क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः। मा कुरु धनजन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेषात् कालः सर्वम्। मायामयमिदमखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा। दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः। कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः। काते कान्ता धनगतचिन्ता वातुलकिं तव नास्ति नियन्ता। त्रिजगति सज्जन सङ्गतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका। जटिलो मुण्डीलुञ्चितकेशः काषायाम्बर बहुकृतवेषः। पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो युदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः। अङ्गं गलितं पलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डम्। वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापिण्डम्।
Who is your wife? Who is your son? Extremely wondrous is this terrestrial attachment, Samsara. Whose are you? Who are you? From where have you come? O brother, reflect well on that truth here. So we said the verses 6, 7 and 8 indicate our preoccupations at the level of body, mind and intellect. When we say preoccupation at the level of the intellect, what it means is what it is supposed to do, the intellect is not doing, and it is getting caught up in samsara. In that samsara you can do various planning, thinking, various things, but it is not going to make a very paradigm shift in our lives. So he's in 8th verse, he's saying, he's giving us few questions to ponder about. Think about who's your wife, who's your son. From even the absolute point of view, all the relationships that we create in this world, which is in sum total summarized by these two, wife and son. Wife is everything that you are wedded to, son is everything that is a product of that relationship. So certain relationships seek to you for solace, certain relationship you give solace. So you, anyway look at it, it sums up the entire relationship. This relationship that we talk about, even in a very direct way if we take, from the overall perspective, it is just a passing phenomenon in our journey of our entire life. What we know of or what we seem to know is actually, maybe you live 80, 100 years and that's what you think, it's a very big frame of time. But from philosophical point of view, it is nothing. It is a very, very short while cutting across various janmas that we go through. That is why Matthew Arnold says, life is an arrow shot from darkness, flutters in the light for a while and then goes back again to darkness. That fluttering in the light for a while is what is we considering our life with all its, fancied notions that we live through. It is just a small flutter in the totality. In this life, we get into various relationships. Certain relationships are there as we are born, certain relationships we acquire, even friends and other relationships as we acquire as we go along. Man is a social animal and is bound to relate with others. But what is the wondrous element here that he is talking about? It is that taking these relationships to be real, we give a permanent value to them and attach a reality to them. In Yoga Vasishtha, I think Swami Ramtirtha quotes this example probably often. 2 logs of wood are drawn in flood from different directions, and suddenly in the current they join together and go together for a while. After that, one log goes this way and one log goes that way. It is exactly like that. When Siddhartha became a sannyasi and became the great Lord Gautama Buddha, as a sannyasin he was taking bhiksha in his own kingdom where he was supposed to be the prince. So his father could not take it. So he is asking, why you have to do this? You are actually, the whole kingdom belongs to you. That is how it is originally planned. Why do you have to do it this way? So Gautama Buddha gives the same example only. He says, I am coming from this road and I am going in this road. You come from this road and you are continuing in your journey. We are meeting at the crossing point for a while. After we say hi, hello or hari om, namaste, you go your way, I go my way. This is what it is. And all our relationship that we entertain in the world and get deeply caught up with is that meeting point of the 4 roads junction. That's all it is. And what is he saying about here? Vichitraha, wondrous. The wondrous thing is this, that even if we intellectually try to understand this all by the books here or the classes or your own thinking, the moment you step into that relationship, it draws you deep inside, and that is called as samsara. Samsara is not merely relationship, our unintelligent relationships which causes a terrestrial entanglement, from where to extricate yourself is next to impossible. We won't say impossible because all the verses that are given here is to make us go beyond the samsara only, but it seems very difficult. And wondrous thing is one more, as we said, to get into it when and how we don't know, but we sort of slide into it, and by the time you realize that the depth of the samsara, it is too late, or it is catching you at the neck deep water level. Like that is the samsara. That is why when a person is caught deep in the samsara, there is no other way except at that point of time, if you want a relief, there is absolutely no other way except than total surrender. Now in this verse he is saying, Instead, you try to ponder over such important questions in our life which we probably never give a thought about. First he is asking, who is your wife, who is your son, where have they come, what relation you have, on what basis you are saying, you are claiming it to be my wife and my son. You are claiming. On what basis? One day you had a exchange of garlands or exchange of rings and she came into your life and okay, for all practical purposes you will say my wife, my husband. But that doesn't stop there. You have a right over her. You claim a right over her. You claim a possessiveness over your wife. Similarly, she claims a right over her husband. On what basis? Similarly, son. You can very well argue that it is my son. Yes. See, the thing is, Khalil Gibran also says, and Swami Ramtirtha also says, it is an entity who is born through you. You are not the owner. Think about each and every aspect that goes into making the fetus inside. Everything is actually beyond your control, because it is the food that you eat that metamorphoses into the sperm and the egg in the respective bodies. The food is not in your control to produce. You can say, I bought the food, but with mere money you can't eat it. You can't eat the currency notes. Somebody is making it grow perennially. And that food, when you eat, it is getting digested within you. The digestive power is not in your direct control. Before that, you have to eat means there must be hunger. That hunger is not in your control. If that hunger fire is not there, whole activities of the earth will come to a standstill, isn't it? It is because of the hunger that you need food. Because of the food, every activity that is happening. That hunger who creates? Krishna claims in 15th chapter of Gita, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. I am that Vaishvanara fire. Somebody is claiming, I am that Vaishvanara fire. Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Prana Apana Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturvidam. It is, I am the fire because of which you put it inside the mouth, and I am the one who digests it also. So that digested food forms all the important essence in your system. The same thing is happening in your partner also. And at that, exactly like that urge that is to eat, which is the hunger, which is beyond our control, the urge to procreate is also not in your control. It should happen. Who makes it happen? It's very interesting if you study the animal life cycle, because it is perfectly disciplined. Not only animals, plants, when and how they flower and when the seeds are brought out, it's perfectly according to the season and everything. It is as though something which is the power that is making it happen meticulously. That same power is making it happen within the human beings also. So everything is beyond your control. And then the growth of the fetus, it is beyond your control. And then when and how it is pushed out, it is beyond your control. But when it comes out, we claim, my son. Okay, you have to form a birth certificate, it is my son, all that is fine. But my son, the whole that we have is, it is my son and he is under my control and he should do whatever I think is right. That is where the samsara begins. Samsara is, when you have a hold over something, you don't know unconsciously that thing has a hold over you. So it is a mutual catch for both. That is called as samsara. So that is why when you want to wriggle out, it's not easy to wriggle out. So it is not a relationship of convenience. It is a package deal that comes to us in that way. So he says, try to think about that question in that angle. But the real question that you need to ponder about is, all these relationships, which is your wife, son, is based on your existence. Unless you are there with this body, all other things in the world you cannot claim. Each and everything is based on your existence in this body. So ask that fundamental question, whose are you? Do you belong to this relationship? To who do you really belong to? Where have you come from? Kasya tvam kaha. Who are you? Kuta ayataha. From where have you come? We said that the life is an arrow shot from darkness and flutters in the light for a while, goes back into darkness. The darkness is what? What is that unknown area? We really do not know any of these answers. This is in the ultimate state called as delusion. Delusion is used at two levels. We are going to see in verse 10 because delusion comes there. Delusion is when any of your emotions go beyond your control. You get absolutely confused state of mind where you are not yourself. That is a deluded state. That is very clear, and understanding of that is, we go through from time to time. But if you extend this, ultimately, we don't know who we are at the absolute level. That delusion continues throughout till the point of realization. So, what is delusion? As Swamiji always says, we consider everything that we know and everything is fine and good around us. But if you scratch the surface, nothing of anything about us we know. Where have you come from? Where are you going? Who are you? Who is your father? When I say father, you will point out your father, but his father, who is the first father? Who is the first mother? Very clearly people will say Adam and Eve or something like that as a very definitive answer. Then who created Adam and Eve? God. The answer is finished. So, for us, we seem to be very clear about these things. But if you scratch and think little deeply, none of these questions are answerable for us. Anything in this universe, you take it, not just with reference to us, but it is very pertinent when it is referring to us. Did the chick come first or the egg come first? Did the tree come first or the seed come first? Who is the first father? Like that, none of these questions we know. And that is where the original seed of delusion is. It is not that you will find out the answer upon realization. The questions lose their significance and they dissolve upon realization. So therefore, he says, this is the starting point. He is only saying lovingly, oh brother, just think about these questions. Mostly at some point of time, the question comes as to, is there something called God, or who is God, where is that God, which is right question. But Vedanta says, just put that question aside for a while, start from the known to the unknown, because education, the principle of education is that you have to start from the known principle. See, because when people are asking about God and they get about that answer also, when we talk about an infinite love or infinite mercy or infinite happiness, whatever is infinite Shakti, everything, that infinite thing is given as an answer where our intellect cannot understand what infinite is, so we remain as it is. God, another name is infinite, that's about is given. So it is taking a student from unknown to unknown, which may be right but which may not be very helpful for us in the practical level. So Vedanta says, start from something which is known. What is known? Your existence is known. Your body is known. And this body relating to the world is known. Start from that experience. One set of people inquired into the world and tried to find out what the world is. They are scientists. Scientists in various forms. Economists, scientists, politicians who deal with groups of people. Various people studied the world in its different components, and even in science you have physicists studying something, biologists studying something, like that it is. Another set of people studied the individual, because individual and the world combine to form your experience. There is no existence of world without the subject. World is the object. Object and subject have to coexist for the experience. So one set of people inquired into the world and they are still inquiring, let that continue. Another set of people went deep into this question, who is this subject? So we are seemingly very clear as to what we are with reference to our immediate personality, which is the body. But inside the body, who is it actually functioning? Because even if anybody doesn't know Vedanta, but if he is carefully noting the experiences of the world, we see that a great experience called death, not of himself, but at least of others, it should awaken him. That person who was living, moving around all along so far, where is he gone suddenly now? Body is still there, why is it not functioning? Therefore, his enquiry will be, there is something inside the body who was functioning till now. that which is functioning till now, where is it gone? Is that the personality? What is it exactly? That is where the inquiry starts. So, this question, Vedanta says, when you start from this question as to who am I? Who are you? He says, so you ask that question, who am I? When you ultimately find out the answer for this question, your question about God also will be resolved. This is the claim of Vedanta. You start from the known. When you try to find out answer for this question, you will automatically land up in the other answer also. This is where the Upanishads give the famous statements like Tattvamasi, another thing, which is the basis of Vedantic literature. See, in any equation, suppose you cannot say an equation is 6 equals 6. What is the big equation? It is not an equation. Equation is something, apparently one side is one thing and another side is another thing, and it is equated. Only then you can solve the equation, isn't it? One side you say 10 minus 4 equals 5 plus 1. 5 and 1 are different, 10 and 4 are different, minus is different, plus is different. But here it is a very simple equation. Only then you can equate these two and try to understand what it is, or try to solve it. So, E equal to mc square is a tougher equation given to physics student at a very high level. What is E? What is m? What is c? Even alphabet wise they are given different, so that you need to think deeply and understand. Similarly, that equations like Tat Tvamasi, U equals that means God. That equation is given. So therefore we need to again solve the equation. Suppose if we are saying U equals U, that's not an equation. Or that equals that is not an equation. Equation given is you are that, Tat Tvamasi. Therefore the inquiry has to find out who is that real you. And then upon inquiry you find out with the help of Upanishads, with the help of Guru, what is that real that. Then you resolve the equation. So this is what intellect is meant for. Our human intellect, the power to think, all that we do. See, suppose even when we saw the Earthlings video, where animals are tortured and killed in a very most cruel way, you can't even see that video for 5 minutes. If you have guts, you have to watch it. Watch it for 1 hour, the full video. It is impossible. Not any one animal, not any one bird is spared. That's how it is treated all over the world. See, even a person who is eating non-vegetarian food, he can eat it, but why should one be cruel to animals? There are ways of killing it, That doesn't happen. It is there. Now, why is it that? No, I brought in this. In that Tattvamasi equation only. This is what, when we get involved in certain things which are very close to our heart, it is
something about the intellect.
Intellect. In that Earthlings also, they are killing the animals. They are finding new methods to do it. And all those methods, where does it come from? Your thinking only, right? Your intellect only. Because they understood, let's say, if a goat sees the other goat being slaughtered, out of fear, out of various other emotions, this goat secretes certain enzymes, certain hormone, whatever it is, which is poisonous, and if you consume that, it is not good for your health. Therefore, they mass slaughter in such a way that one goat doesn't see the other goat, they send it in a reverse way. All this is what? Thinking. This is thinking. To fly the planes into the Twin Tower is a great planning and thinking. So our intellect is preoccupied in the world in a circle where we have justified that this is what I want. Once the mind has decided that this is the pursuit, or this is what is their thing to do, I am not saying right or wrong here, because obviously intellect will only understand what is right. But mind operates in the level that what gives us immediate pleasure and what you have as a right over others, all that is pre-decided. It is decided. Once that is decided, then the intellect comes into picture and you can do it more efficiently. One who uses intellect there is more successful in the worldly point of view. Okay? How can I even cheat the government with more tax evasion and other thing? There also intellect comes to play. So he will probably earn a little more than who is honest and who is straightforward, but he doesn't, let's say, use his thinking. Compared to him, this person will be successful. So intellect is just used in our worldly activities this way, where the mind has drawn a bigger boundary. Within that boundary, intellect operates. But that is not the essence or purpose of intellect. The moment we say intellect, setting aside your emotions as far as possible, because that is also not possible, because right from our childhood we have gathered certain likes, dislikes, prejudices, which is very strong force in our personality. As far as possible, set aside those emotions and then think. That thinking is real thinking. As far as possible means, if you have developed to the extent of 20% intellect, use that fully. If somebody is at 80% level, let him use that fully. But your emotions should not interfere while you are thinking. That is why Bernard Shaw says, and Swamiji quotes in VT, that like a tailor, you take fresh measurement every time. That is intellect. You have to think afresh every time. That intellect, if it is thinking, invariably it will lead to this question sooner or later. The question starts from the level of, suppose you tell your child to speak the truth and practice ahimsa and various other things. The question should come from there as to why I should speak the truth, why I should help others. What is the big deal in, let's say, keeping myself clean and interacting with others in a polite way? All these things are taught as good sanskar, which is okay, I would say, because all these things has to be given at a young age. But he also needs to encourage the question as to why it is. So invariably, in any area that you start questioning, it will finally end up in going into these questions. Finally, who is this? What is this world? What is beyond the world? Who am I? All these questions will eventually, it will come up. As a practical way, what we can encourage in children is, again, it's only questioning, ask them to observe the world around them keenly, carefully. So even as you take your child outside and come, ask him to name a few things that he has seen. And suppose you are seeing certain things happening in certain way, that inquiry should come to you also. It's just not that you are asking the child to ask questions. It should come to you. In Calcutta, they lay the roads and then they plant some stones in it in a nice way. Probably maybe some other cities, but we have not seen in much in, let's say, Bombay, Madras or Delhi like this. But why do they do this? What is the reason? So when they are laying that stone, it must occur to you. I was traveling in an electric train in Chennai. A family with a small child was there sitting opposite. The child suddenly asked, as the train was moving fast, through the door and through the window, so much air comes in. So it asked, where does this air go finally? It's a very intelligent question, but obviously the father or mother could not answer, but at least encourage that question, lead that child to the right source of answer. Okay, now we have even Google and other things. Similarly, when the questions come from religious and spiritual angle also, never curb that question. When you observe and start asking the question, that spirit of enquiry comes. That spirit of enquiry is preceded by that quest, wanting to know really. Why is it that wanting to know must be there? That quest must again precede the question, these questions. Who am I? Where have I come from? And then such a person who does not rest content till he finds that answer, he hits the bullseye finally. That's why Krishna says in 7th chapter of Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. Yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. Out of thousands of men, only one even seeks to attain this perfection. Seeks to put in effort. And of those putting effort, scarcely one actually finally meets me or reaches me. So that is the proportion. But we have to encourage that question, and for which at any point of time, you don't consider yourself aged or old or anything. You start that questioning process. We saw in the previous verse, Vriddhas tavat chinta saktaha. So we said that only when you start thinking worries, anxieties, that is the time you grow old. So it is not coming with age. You can be old at 40 also. Similarly, if you keep that spirit of inquiry alive, you are like a student at all points of time. We heard in a lecture, Swami Ranganathanandaji of Ramakrishna Mission Order, considered a very great soul, enlightened soul, and one of the, great teacher, spiritual teacher in that parampara also. He had this tremendous urge, tremendous passion for reading lot of books and gaining knowledge. At a very ripe old age of 97, 98 also, it is said that with shaking hands he had underlined certain portions as he was reading, and that was a science book at that point of time, latest about something that, but he had that. So we have seen Swami Ramtirtha, after enlightenment, what should I do? No, it is never that they kept themselves lazy or anything. They were constantly in that search of knowledge. They might have even attained perfection inside, but their passion shows that that spirit of inquiry, of wanting to know, is still alive in them, So one has to keep that alive. That will help us in development of the intellect. And once you understand the purpose of the intellect, these questions will come. Who are you? From where have you come? Very lovingly he says, oh brother, reflect over it again and again. Manasi vichintaya varam varam.
That seems to be a promotion from Mudha.
So that, no, Muda is also said in a very, very loving way. Brother also here.
Sir, so that feeling of possession gives you also a feeling of right, like my father, my mother, my child, my wife. While obviously you should not have the feeling of right for it, as you explained, it means a lot of other attachment. But there's always a sense of duty also. So the moment you start feeling, if you have a very strong feeling of not being attached to something, then the time dilutes your sort of duties also.
Commitment to duty.
So which you cannot. You have to perform exams. So how do you balance these two things?
In fact, that is the crux. The crux is what Swamiji called as a detached attachment. Dispossessive possession, like that it is. So, whatever has that my connection, that is where we are either our love is very strong or our duty bound thing is coming very thing. When there is no connection of my, we turn to be indifferent to that. Suppose, as we say, family duty, business duty is all fine. We talked about, let's say there is a event coming up and you say that you have to try and gather more people, try to meet some people or get some appointment, all these things we say. Unless otherwise you take that ownership of the event as my event, it is not going to come. I'll try, but if it doesn't happen, you will shrug the shoulders and go. That type of a deep sense of commitment doesn't come. This we see in Lord Rama's life. The way in which how a husband should behave, he shows when Sita is taken away by Ravana. All superhuman efforts he puts in so that he is bringing her back. It cannot be that I tried my best but I couldn't get. No, till I get it, I will even cross the ocean or do something. That is the sense of duty he showed as far as the husband is concerned. Similarly, as a sense of duty as a king, when he was doing certain things, that is also to the core. At that point of time, we may not even understand what is his relationship with Sita as expressed in that context. Still the love and everything is there inside, but as a whatever has to be done outside, he is doing. So this is the crux of Vedanta, that you are able to perform the duty as though taking upon yourself that it belongs to you, yet you are detached from it, is the challenge. Now how we must do it is that you make, as I said, there is a strong passion when it comes something which is connected to my, I. When I hold it only, there is a strong connection that comes. So this connection, you make it very strong with reference to the self. Say it is my guru, my God, whatever it is, that connection you develop at that level very strongly. Once that strong bondage is there, all other duties will take you towards that goal, you will do it, because unless otherwise you do it, you are not going to reach it there, but you will do it in a very detached way. This is the way. When we do it with attachment, which most of us do, we get also affected by the duties. We get affected by the results of the fruits of our actions also. That should not happen. You are only, your right is only to do the action, to serve. What comes out of it is not in your hands. Therefore, you place your attachment somewhere else. Because the mind wants some attachment. Mind cannot be there without attachment. Detachment is not possible without attachment. So, Vedanta, let us say, encourages attachment, but to the self. So, make that strong. And there are, next verse is going to say how to make that attachment strong. That is the crux actually. So, there is no way that we can escape the duty, because by doing the duty only you cross over the duties, but that cannot come out of emotional indifference. It is a perfect sense of detachment. Indifference is tamas, detachment is sattva. Put it that way.
So yeah, exactly like you use the word indifference. It's a very cut and dry situation when Lord Buddha says that we are meeting on a crossroad and you are my father, you happen to be my father. But in real life you cannot tell it to your father or to your son.
No, Buddha was not in real life or what?
No. Buddha did it to explain to people like us.
No, he meant it. Please.
He meant it. So what I'm saying is, what I meant is that if God Buddha has already done it to sort of show a path to others also to follow. But if
he did not show the path. See, the thing is, this is what it is. Buddha was stating an obvious fact which he is experiencing. You can say that I am not in the position of Buddha now to feel it. That's about all you can say. That is, I would say, that is the right way to say. You can't say that, you can't put a motive to why Buddha said that and say that he said it for this reason. Actually, it is not applicable. Not so. What Buddha said is the actual fact that, but he has enlightened and he has realized it. That's about all. So therefore, it is that when you reach that state, it will automatically come out of your mouth. But the point is, it is just not a state. You need to practice it. As we go through the motions of relationship, that is why if we are not able to or trying to practice it with the knowledge that we gain here, it will be taught to us in a very tough and hard way. Your own, whoever you are attached to, if it is your son or if it is your father, he will teach you in a very strong way. I think in Bhagavad, the Dundukadi story comes in the Bhagavad Mahatmyam, I think. There was a person to whom a son was born through a cow. He was called as Gokarna and he was a very virtuous son. And then another son was born through his second wife or something. He was Dundukadi, very, very, all the bad qualities he had, everything. He used to disrespect the father, he used to spend his time with unwanted company, why take away the money and waste it, like that. All his life was like that only. Now, and as he grew up into an adult, he started beating his father for money. The other son used to sit in the, let's say, front of the house and read Bhagavata or scripture or something. So as the person is beating him, this father runs outside and he complains, see, look at your brother, he is beating me. He is saying he is not beating you, he is your guru. He is saying, why are you attached to me? You practiced, he is your guru. So, whatever you consider as real in your life and you lay emphasis or value upon it, sooner or later you are going to be cheated by it, is a law. Take that as a lesson. So if we are not ready to learn this lesson by knowledge now, it is going to come to us in a different way. But then you have to, as per your stage, as per your role, as per your goal in life, you perform the duties with this sense of detachment. That's why in the very starting of the Bhakti 6 chapters, 7th chapter, 1st verse, Krishna says, Mayi asakta manaha. Asakti means a strong attachment. That strong attachment is the nature of the mind. So that strong attachment you keep on me, he says. That is the only easy way that he says. There is no other way. Yes, sir.
Circumventing. When Siddhartha walked out of his bedroom, his Kanta and his Putra were sleeping there. And he must have had some pangs of irresponsibility while walking out. Who will look after them after I go away? because he decided to go forever. Was he propelled by that Asanga Satyena Dridhena Chitta, that attitude, or did he think that his wife and child will be looked after by the king who is responsible for everybody, and then he got it?
That pangs of irresponsibility, is there anywhere given in any history of Buddha or something like that? No, I don't think so. See, because
I would probably see pangs of responsibility.
so nothing like that. See, as the fruit ripens, how it automatically drops off. That's how he matured into, from the Grahastha stage to the next stage, where he is in search of the truth. Because what he saw as disease, death and old age, from where he was hidden all this while, he saw it, and it was, all these questions came. That's when all these questions came, and he was very perfect in his pursuit. In fact, there is a beautiful article, maybe just remember, we can pass it on to this group. The true way of what a Hindu life, an ideal way which is given in 4 stages, is perfectly practiced by Gautama Buddha only. That is why Buddhism came after Buddha. Buddha was not a Buddhist, right? Buddhism came after Buddha. So, he went through the phase of Brahmacharya, Grahastha Ashrama, and then he graduated to finally Sannyasa Ashrama. This is the way of life. So, it is not that the focus is not who will take care of my child and who will take care of my wife, because a sannyasin is one for whom, whether in a positive or negative way, these thoughts don't preoccupy his mind. What is his preoccupation is only the search for the truth. The search for the truth is only prompting him to go about it, and therefore from that time onwards he is in a different state of mind altogether. But eventually in the totality picture, what will happen? They will be taken care of. That's about all in the overall picture. That's the nature of the law of nature will balance itself, like that it is. See, suppose you are talking about a person going to sannyas, a person who is very young, he has a wife and child, and suddenly he dies. What happens to them? He was the sole breadwinner all this while. Sometimes they prosper and come up well also. So that is a different thing that the nature will take care of by itself, and that will belong to their karma and other thing. It has nothing to do with it. If he is still having a guilt feeling, or after having taken sannyas, where thought comes, oh, I should not have left them, etc., he is still not ready for it. He has to go and finish off certain things and come. That's all. That is why even in giving sannyas, there is a phase where you can try out for a while, and then if you are not, come back and do your other things, and when you are really mature, you can do it. Sannyasa ashrama is not like a joke. You cannot try it out, or nowhere it is said where you have a vairagya which is of a weak vairagya, manda vairagya. No, it is that dhrida vairagya, if at all you need to take at that stage, and your firm commitment to the goal of self-realization, that is what prompts. So he is operating at a different level. Rather, once a sannyasi is true to his word, he has taken up the whole universe as his family. So he has no one particular family where he need to focus on.
But Swami Adi Shankaracharya seems to have come back to perform the obsequies of his mother. That much attachment he had to his mother.
See, he had given, not attachment in the sense, he had given a word to his mother, being her only son with no other dependent persons around her. She finally yields to his desire for sannyasa, and she says finally, only at the last moment when I require you, will you come? He gives her the word, true to his word he comes, that's all. That also, in the Shankara Vijayam, we find that he is not walking all the way and coming. He understands the mother is there in the last breath, he is gone there and he is born there. Like that it is. So it is a very, Adi Shankaracharya is avatara. These people cannot be emulated that way. He is a yogi. With his yogic power he did it as it is. So once you realize the nature of samsara, you want to get out of that samsara. How do you get out of that samsara? Verse 9 gives a very important milestone in our spiritual journey. We will chant verse 9 twice.
Satsangatve nissangatvam निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम् निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वम् निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वम् निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम् निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वम् निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः.
From the company of the good arises non-attachment. From non-attachment arises freedom from delusion. From non-delusion arises absolute steadfastness. From absolute steadfastness arises liberation in life. A very famous oft-quoted verse, like 7th verse, this verse is also remembered and chanted many times. A spiritual enlightenment is indicated in stages here. The commentary of Swamiji is very interesting from one angle. See, there are three-way traffic in life. Traffic in the sense 3R traffic, you can say. Like we say 3C success. 3R traffic in life. The 3R traffic in life is receipt of stimuli, reaction, response. I repeat, receipt, reaction, response. The normal course of our traffic is receipt of stimuli comes from the external world into us through the sense organs of perception, and then reactions happen within us. That is where our inner body, subtle body is, mind and intellect reacts. And response can be anything, and usually if you want to act it out, it is usually through the organs of action. So, organs of perception, organs of action, mind, intellect, all our equipments are involved constantly in these three-way traffic of life. And it is not that one by one, generally everything is happening, but if you take any particular way, it is receipt, then it gets reacted and some form response goes on. This is the receipt, reaction and response. Suppose you open your eyes, a sight comes, or you read something, that is the receipt. And based on your inner desires, your ego, your thoughts, there is a reaction inside, based on which there will be response outside. Even sometimes keeping quiet is a response, but that is a conscious response. Sometimes you speak it out. Sometimes you go all out and buy a ticket for a match. That's a response. Or you phone a friend and say, I am not coming today because I have some other. That's a response. So receipt, reaction and response. Now he has taken the three things and indicated with reference to whatever is given here. Let us try to understand what the opposite of this verse is. Then it is easy for us to understand what he is saying, how the cause and effect functions here. Usually, whatever comes to us from the world, when we muse on it inside again and again, that is what leads to attachment. That's what leads to our attachment. Means a strong thought flow or a stream of thought flow which binds you to that particular object or being or a situation or whatever it is. It becomes like an integral part of you. Wherever you are going, it is coming along with you, or wherever it is going, you are dragged along. That invisible rope which binds you is called as attachment. Imagine you are sitting on a chair and you tie yourself with a rope, proper rope. You cannot get up, or when you get up, the chair also gets up. It's a very painful exercise, but it is a visible rope. Imagine like that to various objects and being, we have put an invisible rope. That rope is not tangible or visible to our this eyes. That rope is called attachment. And how does this form? It forms by constantly musing on the thought, it becomes stronger. The mind keeps on dwelling over it, it gets stronger. In fact, I am deviating away from this verse. People think that desire increases by a lot of perceptions, which actually happens. But not just perceptions. What happens is that beyond the perceptions, it is the mind that keeps on lingering over that perceptions. It is that lingering that causes more strength or gives more strength to your desire, and therefore they slowly attachment is formed even where you are starting as a fresh desire. See, already existing desire, already existing force is one thing, and how you deal with is one thing. But our mind has a tendency to go through any experience and not finish the experience then and there. In what we are doing, the Bhagavad Gita, now it is going to come. In verse 64 it is going to come. He talks about two types of self-control. Very, very interesting verse. There, in the second type of self-control, this is what he says here. Your mind is made up of these sense centers. This is the mind, let us say. You have 5 sense centers. And you here you have the sense objects O1, O2, O3, O4 and O5. And this goes through your, let us say, ear, eyes, nose, etc. So, the sense perception is complete only when it reaches your mind or the sense center. And if you leave that perception then and there, actually nothing happens. But the mind has a tendency to relive that experience again and again because it firmly believes that the pleasure is there, and it has to cut you like a cow brings out what it has eaten and then it chews upon it again and again. It is like that the mind keeps on lingering on it. When you linger in that particular experience, it forms ripples of thoughts around it. And that ripple of thought is actually strengthening that desire, so it forms an attachment. Therefore, then later, without prompting, you yourself are seeking that experience. This is strengthening of the desire. So therefore, any worldly contact, any attachment leads to more and more bondage. Here when we are talking about, it is not just a person may be good. See, your father, mother, if you ask, are they bad? No, they are not bad persons, they are good persons. But invariably, the way in which they see the reality and get attached, it forms a strong bondage between the parent and the children, or husband and wife, or any relationship for that matter. So what is happening here is, in any of the relationship where the thought flow is upon the objects of the world, considering it as a real thing in itself, there you form strong attachment. And that stronger the attachment, it leads to various modifications of desire, and those desires, when it becomes stronger and stronger, when the flow becomes stronger and stronger, that is what leads to delusion, moha. So that attachment can go into desire, that desire modifies into anger, that desire modifies into greed, it modifies into jealousy. How it is, we will see in the later verse, it specifically comes. When any of these emotions goes beyond a point, it is going to take a complete control over your personality, and it will flow by itself. Where you don't know who you are, it's a totally, utterly confused state, that is called as moha. Moha means delusion. So, the receipt is at the sense level. The attachment is because of a wrong reaction at the mind level. And then, when the intellect is absent, it is called complete delusion inside. And then what happens is that such a thing becomes many branched in our personality, and all the attachments strongest form a strong root, strong basis to get ourselves bound into this world. That is why in the 15th chapter, Krishna says, Asanga shastrena dhidena chitva. What you quoted just now, that's where it comes. You have to cut the tree. The tree becomes like a big banyan tree now, strong rooted. It will continue forever. It has a relative immortality, the tree, great banyan tree. Only one way, he says, chop it off completely. With what? With the axe of non-attachment. Okay. So, once in that deluded state, it is getting completely rooted, and that forms the bondage. This is the our experience. Very clearly we can relate to our lives like this. Now you see this verse, what he is saying is exactly the opposite of it. How we must free ourselves. Therefore, it starts with the receipt level. Everything starts at the receipt level. Let us say if your house is maybe because of some clogging of the drain, or it is in a low-lying area because of excess rain, that pipe of the pipe which is supposed to drain water out of your house outside, because of excess water there, let's say it has come inside through that pipe. Now the drain water has entered your house and it is continuously flowing. It is a big mess. You have suddenly come back from outside and you see that the house is in a mess and it is continuously still flowing. So you have to first sort it out and clean. So if you have to clean, where do you start? What do you do first?
Turn off the valve.
Turn off the valve. Actually what happens is, yes, you are right in a way, but it is not through a valve it comes. Okay, if there is a valve you can turn off or put some stoppage by which at least now excess of those things should not come in, because it's continuously coming in. After you have put a stop to that, you have to start cleaning the house, and then once everything is settled down, it will go in the proper direction what it is supposed to do. Exactly like that. Now we are at a stage, let us say, where we are constantly being bombarded by various sense contacts and various other indulgences, various emotional things from outside. First and foremost thing is, as it comes in, you have no choice, because our sense of organs are very much wide open, isn't it? At least you can restrain yourself from the organs of action, that I will not speak, that I will not act. Even that's difficult, but that you can try at the action level. But senses, how can you just shut off? How long can you close your eyes or sleep? It is not possible. You have to open the eyes. Ears are always open. Whether you like it or not, some sound is going to come. Nose you cannot close. You have to breathe. Therefore, the smell, it is going to travel through that. How can you remain without eating? Taste will be there. Skin is already exposed. Touch will be there. All the 5 sense organs, whether you like it or not, through these apertures in the external body are exposed. So something or the other has to come. Therefore, first be very choosy as to what comes in. That is the most important thing. Therefore, at that point, satsang becomes all important. Satsang means, literal meaning is, sat means good. In the 17th chapter, he uses the word sat and he gives various meanings, Lord Krishna, and one definition he says, sadbhave sadhubhavecha. Sat is used in terms of auspicious. Sat is used in the terms of good. Satsang means good company, and satsang is the starting point for anybody to start his spiritual journey. It is by grace of Guru, it's by grace of God that we are going to realize the self, and what will lead us to that is satsang. Whoever has found satsang in his life, actually he has found the real treasure. It is not very easy. Suppose if a person is not in satsang, I mean, what to say, he has to do more punya karma to earn satsang. You can earn a lot of money and bequeath to your sons, daughters, various other things that you can give, but the greatest gift that you can give it to them or leave it for them is satsang. Just contact of holy persons, contact of the right people, that is probably the greatest legacy that you can leave for your next generation also, because sooner or later they are going to earn money. It is not that your money is required for them. It is a matter of 1 or 2 years where everybody is going to settle with their intelligence, with their smartness. They are good enough. They are going to earn their own money. They are going to stand on their own legs. They will travel the world on their own. All those things are going to happen. But if you are going to introduce them to the right kind of people in the world, even if they are not pursuant, that connection and that contact will not go waste. At the time of probably a drought inside them, who they will look after, who they will look up to, it is these people. So a good parent should introduce them to the right kind of people. Satsang is not just confined to people only. Satsang is at all levels, but generally referring to a spiritual or holy company. A class like this is a satsang, like that it is. Anything like that. So even in the hard, dry desert also, where it is only heat and sand everywhere, when a person is very desperate, with little effort he finds a oasis. He finds a palm tree or something there. That is how the nature is designed. Even in the worst of circumstance, you will find something for solace. Only thing is you must be desperate for it. Once you are desperate for it, you will find. So we see Kali Yuga, all selfish people, there is nobody who is good. No, the moment you are desperate, you will come across what is known as a satsang. God has kept it like that only. It's how it is. It has designed like that. The moment you get into the satsang, it is like, in a positive way I am saying, like a fish getting caught into a net. It will not escape. He himself will keep each and everything, more than what the individual is longing to reach God, as it were. It is he who is wanting to draw the individual towards him. So he gives all the facilities, amenities and everything provided for you to there. So in a positive way, he will not allow you to escape. But that satsang is very important. Now I leave you with a question to think about here. The first statement says, Satsangatve Nissangatvam. Okay? From satsang, which is good company, which is a good association, which is a holy association or a spiritual association, arises Nissangatvam, non-attachment, detachment. So detachment comes from good company. Now when you court, let us say, the opposite company, bad company, it obviously is going to bind you more. It is going to take you deeper into those attachment. Not only that, sooner or later you get attached to those people itself. If you go to a club where you play gamble or you drink and everything, and there is a company that is formed, you form companies like this also. And then there can be other relationships that are formed out of it. But all that need not be an elevating relationship. You can call him a friend, but he probably has ended up only spoiling your health. He is not a real friend in that sense. But invariably the mind gets attached to those relationships. Whether he is in the form of now a debtor or creditor or anything, constantly that person is preoccupying your mind. Or he is calling you even as you want to run away from alcohol. The moment his call comes, you are drawn. So all that is not really a very happy thing. So that type of a company really makes us stronger into the mire of attachment. But then how does the formula work here? Why not in this? Let's say this is a group of people who we assume that are is a satsang. At least for this 1 hour it's satsang. But then why don't we form that unnecessary bondages here? I don't know if anything is formed like that, which I am saying. But if you approach the satsang in the proper way, that doesn't happen. So why is it that in satsang it leads to detachment? Why any other sangha, and not only this, satsang, as I said, is just not confined to people. The type of music you listen to, the type of book that you see your friend, the type of food that you normally eat, you can extend it to cover that also, but essentially, generally, it leads to a complete detachment. We'll just only finish with the example of the great Parikshit. Parikshit knew that he is going to die within a week. That is the curse that he got. But the greatest asset that he got just after that was he met Sukha on the way. And a satsang was formed with him as the guru, with Sukha as the guru. He listened to Bhagavat in 7 days, and in 7 days all this happened. Finally he says, Nischala Tattve Jivan Muktihi. Jivan Muktihi means liberation while living. So you see where satsang leads you to finally. All that starts with a small step of forming a group which is good group, and there you enroll yourself or join yourself. That's all it is. That step by step everything comes. Finally, Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is liberation while living here and now. You get what you are ultimately wanting. Here and now it is presented in a platter. But all that starts with a satsang. We'll continue next class. Oh, permission.
Poornam पूर्णमदम् पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।